Good afternoon. I am in the Saddle Mountains of Washington, and today I am going to be climbing to a pretty unique summit. Behind me is Wahatis Peak, and this is a very remote summit in eastern Washington, and it is special because it is the high point of the Saddle Mountains. The Saddle Mountains is a pretty unique little range here in Washington, and Wahatis Peak behind me is the high point. So this is going to be a very interesting summit because I am far east of the Cascades, overlooking the Columbia River. I'm in the basalt flows, so this is going to be gorgeous. It is a beautiful afternoon, green rolling hills and birds around me. It's going to be a quick hike up to the summit, and I'm going to bag a sub-summit and explore because there's not a lot of information online about this summit. So let's get going, climb one of the most unique mountains in Washington. Considering this is a road walk to the summit, this isn't like a trail. You're just kind of following this road, and the summit is beyond the maintenance towers or the telephone towers or whatever they are. But this has got to be one of the prettiest roads I have been on. You're just up along the crest. You got panoramic views on both sides. It's pretty darn good for walking on a roadbed, and I do like being able to see the summit get closer and closer. This isn't a very long venture, but it is a very special mountain, and I've had my eye on it for a while. It's just very involved to get out here, but I am so glad I did. The drive was gorgeous, and walking along a ridge like this really makes you feel like you're flying. But this one here, beyond that, that's the summit, but I'm also gonna climb onto this. That's like one of the sub-summits that I want to hit on this, so I'm gonna do that as well. Well, I made it to the top of the sub-summit, which is pretty panoramic. I just did this for the peak bagging purposes, but definitely giving a taste of what's to come once I get a little further up. So that is where I'm going. I think I have like a mile left and a couple hundred feet of gain. This isn't like the most intensive road, so there's not a ton of elevation gain. I think I'm just doing like 500, maybe 800 feet max, but yep, one summit down, one to go. give you the top of Wahatis Peak and the top of the Saddle Mountains. This is just past the towers, and there is a summit marker here. There isn't a ton of information about this marker online. Farm Boy Racing, really nice metal sign. It says rest in peace, and then we've got initials here. And then cemented in is some bottle caps, some kind of marker, you can barely make that out, and then a beer bottle, which I'm guessing at some point served as the summit register. But really cool spot, and oh wow, yeah, you just feel like you're in the middle of nowhere up here. So cool. I'm gonna do some photography because this is a very unique view. All these rolling hills are gorgeous, and have a snack because it took a lot of effort to get out here. It's just so remote in the middle of nowhere, and I intend to enjoy it. I will go ahead and give the tour. Wow. This is such a crazy view, especially compared to the summits that I'm used to doing in the state. But all right, let's start looking further east. So this is the whole spine of the Saddle Mountains. I can see a dot way down here where my car is. And then this is where the towers are. Here is the lovely sign, Farm Boy Racing, which is the proper high point. Back there, it'll look like that's the high point. This is the actual summit. And then, let's see, let's go south. And we're looking at the Hanford Reach National Monument. You can see the Columbia River, the White Bluffs Cliffs, the sand dunes, and then some of the old nuclear sites. And then gorgeous rolling hills of the Saddle Mountains. And then we're continuing the spine west. So the high point at the very end is going to be Sentinel Mountain. And then we're getting out into the foothills of the Cascades. Vantage is out that way. And I can see right near, it's pretty hazy today with all the dust, so I don't think it's going to come out on camera. And then we've got more of the farmland. And then we're back at the summit. You really come out here for the solitude. And if you can't tell, I haven't seen another soul all day, which just makes this more amazing. You know, it makes up for the fact that there are, you know, towers on the summit. I don't care for that, but for something this unique, I don't mind them so much. But one, I wanted to get out here just because this peak is really interesting. It's a high point, which of course makes it enticing for peak bagging purposes, but there just isn't a lot of documentation of the mountain, of what it looks like out here, and there are not a lot of reports. The most recent report that I saw was from 2020, so this doesn't get reported on very often. There aren't a lot of trip reports, and it's probably because it's not a proper trail. But for the high point of such a unique part of the state geology, and for such an incredible panoramic view, you know, I think it deserves some attention. Just incredible views. And yeah, and so because of that, there's like no information about the summit markers. I don't know what Farm Boy Racing is. I don't know who the memorial is for or anything. I'd be interested to know a little bit about it, because clearly people do come up here and climb this. It just, nobody really talks about it. but the Saddle Mountains are gorgeous. And I'll put the summit elevation. It's 2,600 feet or something like that. It's over 2,000 feet, you know, and compared to the Cascades, that's a foothill. But for here, for this part of the state, it's a mountain, and these mountains are really quite beautiful. You got just rolling Sound of Music hills. I am heading off the summit, and I don't know if you can see way out there, right around here, there's a black dot. That is my car. So about 2 miles, 1.5 miles that way is my car. I actually do not know what my round trip is on this, because I just parked in the pull-off that I saw because I wanted to make sure I actually did some hiking. I didn't want to go too far down the road. And you can hike this, but you have to make sure you are in one of the pull-offs, not blocking the main access road, because you got to make sure that that is clear completely. So I just took a good spot, and yeah, gonna be a gorgeous descent. Should be pretty easy, but yeah, I don't know my exact mileage on this. It cannot be more than 4.5 miles round trip, and I also do not know the gain that I did. Again, it's got to be under 1,000, but beyond that, I am not sure. But gonna go down and have all of these beautiful rolling hills to keep me company. Well, that is Wahatis Peak, the top of the Saddle Mountains in Washington. And this was really cool. Because there's not a lot of info about the peak, I got to feel a little more adventurous and kind of check out what it's like out here, not knowing exactly what all the views looks like, not having a lot of pictures, just made it a lot more fun to just sit and take in the scenery. And oh, I have not seen another soul all day. No other cars, no other people, just the middle of nowhere on top of this mountain ridge. It's a really unique spot. And I gotta say, this is not a trail in the traditional sense. It is a maintenance roadwalk. But as far as a maintenance roadwalk goes, it is pretty awesome. And the point is to get to the top of this mountain. Now, if you are wanting something more official, in Hanford Reach they have the Saddle Mountain Overlook. So if you come up the access road and you go right instead of left like I did, there's a beautiful overlook that shows the area that is more visitor friendly. But oh, what an amazing place up here. This is definitely unique, and it was just about everything I had hoped it would be. Absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, I have to go back to my campsite for the night. I'm going to be enjoying a gorgeous drive back down this ridge and down these mountains. So thank you so much for watching, and here are my favorite pictures from the trail today. Enjoy.